Hello and welcome to another Geek Jabber retro computing video. I am Tim and we're back again with the 486. So we're going to do an upgrade today that I've been planning for a while but have only just got the parts to actually do. So you might remember back when I toured this machine in an early episode, it had 8 megabytes of RAM. And that was at 8 1 megabyte chips. Now, what I've managed to source is 4 megabyte chips that will work with this machine. They're a little bit difficult to see because I've got them in the anti-static bag, but you get the idea. So what I'm hoping to do is take out 4 of the chips that are in there and put in those 4 chips and keep the other ones in there. So the long and short of it is I want to aim for 20 megabytes of RAM. Now that's actually quite a lot for a 486. Usually about 8 megabytes was common in the early days. By the end of the 486's life, 16 megabytes was fairly common. But there's 2 reasons I want to do it. So one is, if you remember when we were playing around with getting on the web with this machine and I was demonstrating Netscape, which I'll fire up again now, it sometimes struggled. And you can actually see it struggling now to actually fire up. And I suspect a lot of that is to do with the fact that it actually uses a very large chunk of that 8 megabytes. So having a bit more should help there. And the other reason is, while we're using Windows for Workgroups here, which was a period correct operating system, putting in more RAM opens up the opportunity of playing with other operating systems. So I want to play around with Windows NT, which requires more than 8 megabytes to function. And I also want to play around with early versions of Linux. And that's how I pronounce it. If you pronounce it Linux, all power to you, but I just pronounce it Linux, deal with it. But we're going to take a crack at seeing if we can get more RAM into this machine. So I will take a cut here, get the chips installed, and we'll start firing it up and see if we can get any additional performance. So one moment please. Okay, and I'm back. So right at the moment we're in the BIOS screen and I'm just going to show a few things off here before we go back to Windows. So if we go into the standard and look at the top right, you've got base memory 640k and extended memory 19,700 and some change. So we've got the new chips in here and it's now doing 20 megabytes of RAM. So it seems this machine actually likes the RAM chips that I've got, which is a bonus, and they seem to want to work together with the RAM that was already there. Now I'm going to show you something in the AMI BIOS, so this might apply if you're doing similar sorts of upgrades. If you go into the advanced chipset setup and come down here, you'll see memory above 16 megabytes cacheable, and at the moment that is set to no. So that means the cache on the motherboard will only cache the first 16 megabytes. Because we've got 20, I probably want to set that to yes, just so it's caching the entire amount of RAM that I've got. I believe it does this for compatibility reasons with some setups. So this may or may not work to you, for you, but we're going to try with that switched on anyway, just to try and get the best performance out of the machine. So we'll just save that. And then we'll try firing up Windows and going back to Netscape. And you can see from the memory test there, 20 megabytes. So that's a substantial improvement over the 8 that we did have. Of course, it's going to sit here a little bit longer while it tests it all. And of course the usual wait for everything to boot back up again. And we'll go back to Windows. Now the boot up time here will be about the same because Windows for workgroups can technically run okay in 4 megabytes. So with the configuration I've got, I'm not expecting much difference here. But let's go back, and this is the test we did before with Netscape. You'll remember a moment ago that it was struggling. Let's fire it up again now. And it still takes a moment, but it is still, like, that is still substantially faster than when we had 8 megabytes. So you might remember a moment ago when we had 8, I was able to talk quite a bit over it while it was still booting up. This still takes a moment, but is quite a lot quicker. So it looks like in this case, putting in 20 megabytes has been a good upgrade, because when you're talking about internet stuff, that does require a bit more RAM. So I'm calling this an overwhelming success and will be very useful for future videos, as I said, when we talk about doing other operating systems that might not work so comfortably in 8 megabytes. But I think I might wrap this video up here because, hey, this was an overwhelming success. So if you like the video or want to subscribe to the channel, you know what to do. If you want to join our Discord or visit the website or support us in some way, links in the description, and I will see you all in the next video.